The Stewardship Committee has been planning this year's canvas for a pretty long time, talking and worrying about it, wondering how we're going to engage people, get them back, remind them of all the church is, has been, and can be for so many. How do we communicate the urgent need for everyone's participation in our annual appeal? Our concern and anxiety gave me a lot of time to think about my connections to this church, which are long, deep, and essential to my life. I thought maybe if I shared my story, it would help you reflect on what this church means to you, what it's worth to you. Quite unbelievably, to me anyway, it might be 30 years ago to the day that I first walked through these doors. We arrived in Canton in September of 1992. Our good friends, the Beekmans, had moved to Canton a couple years earlier. When Pete offered Tom a job at St. Lawrence, I was skeptical, but Tom said it would be a good gig for 3 to 5 years. So we packed up our 2 little boys and moved from Burlington, me fully planning to be back in Vermont in short order. A friend in Vermont had grown up in Canton and urged me to visit the UU Church on Main Street. The minister's a legend in his own time, he told me. I had some familiarity and interest in Unitarian Universalism. So one of our first Sundays in town, I left Drew and David home with Tom and ventured to church. The sanctuary was packed and a short, squat guy was in the pulpit mumbling something I couldn't quite follow. Legend in his own time, I wondered. I soon learned he was the interim minister. Max Coots had just retired and the service to call Ann Marsh and Wade Wheelock to be the new ministers was a few weeks away. So it began. I came most Sundays and pretty soon the kids and Tom came along with me, with Lindy joining us in the spring. From the start, the kids were involved. They were taken with Ann and Wade's stories. They loved their RE teachers and special church friends. I appreciated the break in my busy life, the quiet, and the people I met and talked with in social hour. Those were crazy, hectic years with a house full of little ones. We'd been here about 3 years, and to be honest, I was growing weary of putting snowsuits on little ones and driving great distances to visit my family. I was hanging out with my kids' friends' moms and not feeling terribly fulfilled. I reminded Tom about that 3 to 5 year promise. Then, honestly, everything shifted when I got a call from Tim Updike. He wondered if I would be interested in being on church council. Would I be secretary? I expect I'm the first and last person in the history of church council nominations to holler yes into the phone without asking any of the reasonable questions. What's the time commitment? How long are the terms? What are the qualifications? I'd had the feeling the church was where I was going to really connect with my people and saw this as a chance to get to know and work with some of those kindred spirits. This is when my relationship with this church grew and deepened, and my families did too. And it has continued for 25 years. Thought-provoking services, tear-jerking sermons, giggle-worthy stories, and never to be forgotten holiday pageants. RE, coming of age, youth group, our whole lives. A week at church leadership camp with Pete Wyckoff, if you can imagine such a thing. And more committee meetings than I care to think about. I served as church council president and chair of a ministerial search committee. We enjoyed potlucks, a lot of potlucks, circle suppers, social hours, chili cook-offs, and service auctions. We've seen the church through minister and staff changes, canvas and capital campaigns, and of course, a pandemic. There have been difficult times, but they were few, and wonderful times of deep connections, friends, and family. As some of you know, Tom's work at St. Lawrence is transitioning at the end of this year. We are planning a move to Southern New Hampshire where we'll be closer to our families. It's an exciting move, and we feel great about this next chapter. Yes, leaving this church will be hard, but it's not because of leaving friends and memories. They are ours forever. It's leaving at a time when the church's future feels uncertain, a little untethered. I can't imagine my Canton life without this church. The people, the commitment, the community, I want for all of you to continue to have the church that has been my home for 30 years, the church that raised my family, the church that grounded, nurtured, and supported me as I navigated complicated years in our country and our world. Tom and I have pledged far more to the church over the years than I ever could have imagined, more than to any other cause or organization, and to be honest, at certain times, more than I thought we could really afford. But it takes a lot to keep the programs we need and want thriving, and the doors of this wonderful place wide open. That my adult children still revel in stories of their church days, that all three mention being raised in a UU church in their college essays, that family weddings today are brimming with church friends. It's worth every penny. So many before us have stretched to ensure that this church, this faith community was, is, and will be here for all of us. Now I want to be sure, after these last rocky years, that others realize the value of the church in their lives, that you will all step up, stretch, and support the church as best you can. I hope you'll take our invitation to heart. Please sign up for one of our house meetings where you'll get a chance to talk with others and consider your connection and commitment to this faith community. Think about what this church is, has been, and will be for you. Please pledge generously to keep this liberal religious community a nurturing home and a beacon in the North Country today and tomorrow. Thank you.